Thank you for joining us this afternoon. We're running a little bit behind, so we're going to make up some time. Very first thing on the work session is an update from the Washington County Museum of Fine Arts.
We're glad to be here.
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity to take a few minutes on your schedule. We're very excited to be here and finishing up the end of our 85th year of partnership with the city. And it's hard to believe, 1928, Donna and I were looking at a few years ago the documents that the singers and the museum board at that time, Mrs. Hamilton and others in the community, got together, worked with the city council, mayor and council at that time, came up with agreement to lease for 99 years a portion of the city park, agreement with the singers that she would give money to build the art museum, that the city and the county agreed to pay for its operation and maintenance. And since that time, the nonprofit that was formed by the founders of the art museum was incorporated by the state. It's a quasi-public-private partnership. Actually, our board of trustee members that are the board members of the art museum, while we're a 501c3 nonprofit organization, we are considered quasi-government, kind of like the trustees of the library, where our officials take an oath of public office. It's the same one that you all as elected officials do because of the unique nature of our creation of this quasi-public-private entity. And we've had this partnership going on since 1928. The museum opened its doors 85 years ago in 1931, and that meant that shortly after the documents were signed, actually formally in 29, the stock market crashed. The documents were signed in August. Donna and I were looking, and the stock market crashed in October. But the community went ahead, and that perseverance and belief in the investing in our community made such a difference. And we are one of only 4 accredited fine art museums of our scale and size in the entire state, the only one west of the Baltimore-Washington Beltway. The 2 biggest ones are the Walters and the Baltimore Museum of Art, and there's a small museum on the Eastern Shore, and I think another small collection someplace else. But really, our collection's so unique, and we wanted to share a little bit. I know some of you already have copies of this book, 100 Stories, and I'll let Rebecca, while she's passing these out to some of our newer members who may not have one of these, and if any of you have lost yours, we'd be happy to get another copy to you and replace it. But we just wanted to thank you for the partnership, appreciate the support over the years, and that belief 85 plus years ago now has grown into something that's truly unique and special about our community. And as a kid, I didn't realize how special it was until I took an art appreciation class and learned how special it was. I just assumed every community had a museum like we have in our city park, and they don't. We just want to thank you for that continuing partnership and the efforts you've made. And we're very excited with the art trail, with being able to be part of that as the terminus of that, and very excited to get this new outdoor sculpture sitting at the base of our museum at the end of the art trail by the City Park Lake. We don't have enough outdoor sculpture, and I think it will. I know we're already hearing things in the art community about people interested in coming to see it and the art trail itself. So we wanted to thank you again, and then also invite you out. I know some of you have had a behind-the-scenes tour of the museum. Its basement.
A number of years ago.
It was probably a number of years ago, the vault collection, and just, you know, we don't talk a lot about it, but the museum does have a collection of over 6,000 works of art. A lot of them are in the vault in the basement in climate-controlled storage, and only a small part can be displayed at any one point in time. But we'd love to have you come out, see the vault, and take a behind-the-scenes tour, and again, see how fortunate we are for a community our size to have an art museum with over 31,000 square feet of gallery space.
I would add one small thing, and that is, with this catalog, it's 100 of our most recognized and important works of art. And I'd like to say that the museum considers those to be held in the public trust, in that we are stewards for the people of this community. And the art belongs to the people as much as it belongs to the 501c3 organization. So we think that's a very important aspect of this unique relationship that we have with the public sector.
And the story of the Singers is unique. Mrs. Singer grew up in the city of Hagerstown, actually in the mansion in Dunirving Drive, just south of where the Surrey Elementary School or daycare center was more recently, just south east of City Park, and married into a Pittsburgh Steel family, a young man that was an artist, and they moved to New York, and it was actually in New York City that this wonderful gift back to her hometown community evolved. But basically, after she married, she never came back to the city except for an occasional, probably
I think two visits
two
we know of.
visits. One for the dedication of the museum, and then another post-World War II when the two wings were added at either end of the museum in the late 40s. So we're very fortunate with their generosity and others since that build upon that legacy and continue to build on it. So we've got the great place that we do have, but thank you for your support.
She wouldn't be unhappy today, though, would she?
No, we are fulfilling her legacy, and the community continues to be a supporter in fulfilling that legacy, and we're all the better as a community for it.
You're right.
So thank you very much. We don't want to take up a lot of your time, but just wanted to again recognize you and thank you for the collaborative partnership and that investment. And it's invite you in. It's one of the things that makes Hagerstown a unique community, different from our other partners here in Western Maryland.
And if you'd been here in early April, you would have seen one of Councilman Alsher's daughter's works of art. She was part of the public school art exhibition.
And one of the award winners, too.
One of the award winners. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for the
Thank you
opportunity.
guys very much.
Thank you.
You're quite welcome. Thank you. Take care now.
Jen, you're up. Review of binding interest arbitration draft ordinance.
Hello, everyone. Hello.
All right, so we're back to take a look at the most recent draft of this chapter. And I'll point out just a couple of changes that we've made since I was last before you. One is not reflected on here, and that is on the first page under definitions B2, fact finding, and that was Councilmember Munson's point that he made at the last meeting about striking out, I'm sorry, actually 3 under impasse. The second to last line of the definition, proposed new collective bargaining agreement. I had one issue that I just wanted to discuss with Scott before this meeting, and I would recommend that we strike out new. I do think it's redundant. Another change was adding the definition of number 6, non-management employees of the police and fire departments. That specifies who this chapter applies to. And then the last 2 changes are on the last page, and that would be the addition of V and, let's see, it should be V and W. Although I think I'm looking at a different version than you all are, so correct me if I'm wrong, but it would be the no strike clause and then the execution.
Correct. V and W.
So these both help to.
You didn't see that?
Nope, that's the same one I have, thank you. These both reflect requirements of the charter amendment. And that's that the ordinance shall provide for the procedures for implementing the arbitrator's decision when passing or amending the city's budget, and that any ordinance enacted shall prohibit strikes or work stoppage by the represented employees. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
I have a comment. I like the first one. I even like the second one better.
Well, that's good.
Thank you.
So yes, we took a few of the comments from our last presentation and made these additional changes. And if the body is good with this, we plan to bring it to you for an introduction at a special session next week and for possible approval on the 20th. Or if we don't have a special session, I have to look at what else is on the agenda. If not, we would have our introduction on the 20th and the approval at the next special or next regular meeting. But this was clearly vetted with a, combination of internal staff. Jen did a lot of work. All the initial work, we worked with Michelle and Karen and Scott and I and Jen. And then we also had a complete review by the Labor Council as well.
Crystal? I'm good.
Yeah, I don't have any interest in voting in favor of it, so you can pretty much.
Do you have any comments, though? You moved your mic over, I just thought maybe you had something to
That's
say.
it. You can put in whatever you want, I'm not. I think it's crazy.
All right, well, let us know what the schedule looks like.
Okay.
Thank you, Jen.
No other questions?
You're welcome.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
See, administrators' comments, please.
Yes, just this past weekend, I attended my second and the community's 22nd Blues Festival for 4 days. Just what a wonderful event. Big thank you to the committee members and all the volunteers and all the city employees that it takes to put that together. Just a lot of fun. Weather couldn't have been more perfect in my eyes. Humidity was low, and it was wonderful. Special recognition to some staff members, Lauren Metz, Jill Frick, Eric Dykey, Jim Bender, Eric Hastings, Mark Haddock, Lieutenant Fetchu, and Sergeant Node, Doug DeHaven, Chester Hadley, and Brenda Hobb Baker. So just, again, that's just a small portion, and a lot of city employees put a lot of long hours into building and tearing down and cleaning up, but just a wonderful event for the community. That's all, Mayor.
Dawn?
Ditto. I can't say it any better than that.
Lou?
I would agree with both Don and Valerie, and if I'm correct, we have a bike race coming up this weekend, is that correct?
Oh. Is it this weekend?
What's
One
that?
Downs Friday?
Yeah, I don't think it's this weekend.
Right, yeah,
Continuum,
yes.
It should be Friday night next week.
Next Friday.
16th,
Because
yes.
it's a Friday, or it's a Father's Day weekend.
Yes,
If it's the one that then continues to Williamsport.
yes.
Gotcha.
Criteria.
Right.
Criterion, yes.
Criterion, right.
That's all.
Paul?
Just a couple things. Tim Tebow came to town last week, everybody probably saw. It was nice to see Municipal Stadium filled to capacity. As we go forward, I think that, not just because it was, obviously he was a big draw to be there, but that I think that showed that there still is a great interest in minor league baseball in the city of Hagerstown. And while we have ongoing major development opportunities that are going on within the city, that I guess it'll probably come up once the lease comes up again with the Suns again. But basically, that I still think the future and viability of a multi-use facility would still be in the best interest going forward. One thing I thought about the other day, and I don't know, this may have already happened, may or may not, with the cultural trail opening here in 2 weeks. If anyone has extended an invitation to former Mayor Geisbert's or
Yes, he's gonna be there.
Brubaker, and, right, okay,
He'll be on the agenda.
all right, good. Lastly, I want to congratulate Chief Brito, your 1 year. We are incredibly fortunate to have your leadership here. Very much appreciated. As we all seen, the police department's been doing a fantastic job for us here in the city of Hagerstown. There's been a lot of incidents, obviously, that have occurred over the last several weeks, but HPD has been all over those as those occur. You know, I would like to see, hopefully in the future, I talked about this a few months ago. We got to get some cooperation here from the rest of our criminal justice system, whether it's the state's attorney's office. I hear you, Don, but, you know, I'm sure everyone sees the same things that I read, and, you know, you see a guy hitting a woman with a board in the head, and just last year, he had robbed a pharmacy. Or you have someone did a drive-by shooting, and they get a year in jail. I mean, I'm not privy to all the particulars, but we need some support from the rest of our criminal justice system. Our police department can't do it all. I mean, they're doing a fantastic job, but we need some continued support from the rest of the criminal justice system. So, that's it.
Kristen?
Can I interrupt? One thing I would like to comment, and you can comment, but today is June 6th, and you should not go without mentioning D-Day.
Kristen?
Well, I would say, ditto to Paul's comments, obviously regarding the chief, not stadium. But
I'm writing you down for all, so it doesn't matter.
But the second thing I would say is, I don't think it stops at, obviously, some better cooperation from our court system, which I think is more pointed where we're looking for that help, but also those social service agencies that bring individuals into the community, whether you like it or not. That does occur. It does cause an increase issue for public safety, you know, as individuals move through those programs, move out into our community, and you know, there has to be a better you know, process of connection and ladder upwards, so we don't see these repeated issues. Because I think as we get those notifications, I like to point out, more often than not, individuals have brought those issues from other communities with them, and that's just a reality, and one we need to address in a more comprehensive fashion with the entities offering those services.
Ms. Keller?
Well, I second everything that was said today about the Blues Fest, as well as Chief Brito. And I love that Tim Tebow was in town. It would be nice if the next time a celebrity comes to town, Hagerstown residents actually cheered for the Hagerstown Suns, because there was a whole lot of cheering against them every time Tim Tebow did something fabulous. But the only other thing I have to say is thank you to Paul for coming to my summit on Friday and spending 7 hours with me. I appreciated you being there.
Chief? Sure. Please, my guy.
Pardon if I stand up, I'm sitting down a little bit today, but about 365 days ago now, I was sworn in by this council. And I'm incredibly honored to be part of this team, part of the city of Hagerstown. The support that I've gotten from every one of you, city administrator, the mayor, Donna, all of you council members, every one of you, had personal conversations with every one of you. I could not be happier. I'm excited as today as I was a year ago, and it hasn't stopped. Matter of fact, I'm probably more excited now. I love being here. I've talked to you, the mayor today. We talked at length about challenges that we have. I and we will never relent in anything that we do here, ever. I understand that some of these things are systemic in nature, and they don't necessarily touch the police department. But you can count on me to give my 110% every day that I'm here, and the men and women in the police department. I love being in this city, and I love working for you folks and the support that I've given. It's very emotional to me because I love it today. I'm here because I want to be here, not because I need to be here. I love this place, so please understand that. I'll give you everything I got, every day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
There is without a doubt issues that the city of Hagerstown currently has, and the chief alluded to that a little bit. I rode Saturday evening with Captain Langston for about 4 hours. Responded to 4 overdoses and numerous other calls. You know, I hear the cry from the people who contact me on a routine basis about how we need to get control of this situation. And I'll tell you, our police department, from what I just witnessed in the 4 hours that I was on the street with Captain Langston, but again, the chief and I talked earlier today, they are doing everything within their power. And I want to echo what Paul said and what Kristen agreed to. You know, we need our court system to support what our police department does. And, you know, our police department doesn't make bad cases. Our police department makes great cases. And unfortunately, we've seen a leniency on the other side at the bench that we haven't seen for quite a while. And I'm hoping that the message gets back that, listen, we're serious in Hagerstown about having a safe city for our people, for all of our people. We want them to be serious and understand that just how very serious we are about it. So my hat's off to Chief and HPD. The fire department was at every call. You know, and I had a question about that. Well, you know, why does the fire department respond? Well, it's very simple. They get there before CRS gets there. And a lot of times they get there before HPD can get there. Those are precious seconds that count when it comes to saving someone's life. And that's part of their goal too, life saving. So it's important. We're using a lot of resources lately. And hopefully, and I know that we've had a couple good busts, good arrests for distribution. So hopefully we can get control of this to the point where our resources aren't being expended to the extent they are right now. So hats off to all those, CRS, HBD, HFD, for all the hard work you do every day. I went out to the stadium Thursday night briefly to try to see Tim Tebow. I did get to see him. That was about it, but I got to see him anyway. And Emily, you're right. I mean, every time and that night he went 2 for 3. Batting .217, originally he went 2 for 3 in Hagerstown on Thursday night. The only good news is he went 0 for 5 on Friday. So anyway, it was great to see the stadium that packed. Now, we didn't hit any record numbers. Record numbers happened back when we had Strasburg and Bryce Harper and Ryan Zimmerman all here at the same time. But they were close. They were very close. I know they had a fantastic 4 days. And hats off to the staff over there, the management staff and all the workers for all the great work they did. Because that's a job, trying to get ready on a Friday for a Friday game after a Thursday night and the kind of crowd they had. So I was very proud to see how well they pulled it all back together. I also went to the Blues Fest Friday evening anyway to help kick it off, and it's my 13th Blues Fest to be able to kick off, and didn't disappoint me. The crowd grew. I didn't hang out all that long. Unfortunately, I still have to work for a living, so you know you have to try to get some rest sometime. So, but another great weekend. I was fearful all weekend because they called for rain all weekend, and I was like, when's it going to rain? When's it going to hit?
It was beautiful.
But it really was. It was a great Blues Fest weekend, and I'm sure they did very well. So, having said all that, I would like to say thank you for joining us, and we're adjourned. Thank you. Good night.